It's Ash from SuperVideos back for another video for The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live. In this one, we're going to be talking about what they set up in the premiere of The Ones Who Live as far as a rebellion being staged against the CRM, with Rick most likely being at the forefront of that rebellion. So I'm going to be breaking down Rick's revolution, which is probably going to be something we see later on, but they're probably going to build it in the first season. So stay tuned, we'll be right back to break this down. Alright, as always, before we dive into it, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. With that said, let's dive right into it. So of course, in the premiere, we saw Rick climbing the ladders of the CRM. He started being a prisoner to being a soldier for them, an elite soldier, which is pretty much the top of soldiers at the CRM. And we actually saw something extremely interesting between him and Donald Okafor. We saw Donald Okafor tell Rick and Pearl Thorne about his plan to make change within the CRM from the inside. And he pretty much talked to Rick and Pearl Thorne about leading a rebellion against Major General Beale. As he put it, we are the monsters in this world, and we can stop the bigger monsters, people like Major General Beale. And he gave Rick and Pearl Thorne a stack of books with things that he had on his mind and things that he wants to put in action in order to make that happen. So they're definitely setting up some sort of huge rebellion being staged by Rick Grimes as a result of Donald Okafor's reveals to him and Pearl Thorne. Now, another thing to keep in mind is with Donald Okafor getting killed by the end of the first episode, that leaves Rick open to make a decision. Either climb the ranks and pretty much take over Donald Okafor's position as the lieutenant of the CRM, push forward with the rebellion idea that Donald Okafor brought to him, or Rick can choose not to do anything and to let things be. At this point, with him and Michonne being reunited, this makes it a little complicated for Rick, and it puts him in a bad position because on one hand, he probably does not want to go back with Michonne. He doesn't know how much Donald Okafor told everybody about him, Michonne, and where they're from, Alexandria. I'm sure that Rick doesn't want an Omaha situation for Alexandria. So that means that Rick is going to try to keep things as status quo for the time being in order to not raise any eyebrows as far as the higher ranking officers of CRM and even General Beale himself, and let things play out in a way where he has an opportunity to analyze the situation and see where he can go next. And let's not forget that it's not just Donald Okafor that Rick has to worry about. He also has to worry about Jadis. If Donald Okafor doesn't know about where they're from, Jadis most definitely does. And I'm sure with Donald Okafor being killed, the CRM is not gonna want to waste more time on Rick. They're just gonna want to get rid of him because they see him as someone who just brings them trouble and has no benefits to them. And I'm sure that they're gonna send Jadis in to get Rick and Michonne if they end up escaping. And I'm sure that Jadis would see this as an opportunity to climb the ranks of the CRM by doing this huge mission, which is taking back Rick Grimes and maybe even killing him. But of course, the other thing to keep in mind is that at this point, Pearl Thorne and Rick have an obligation. Follow through with Donald Okafor's idea or to chicken out and basically leave him hanging. I mean, at this point, as far as Rick is concerned, it'll be very selfish of him to just let everything go and not follow through with the rebellion idea, given that he knows how much the people of the Civic Republic are restricted and how much of their freedom is being taken away by the CRM and Major General Beale. So I think that Rick is gonna have to juggle these things, wanting to make sure that there's nothing to trace CRM back to Alexandria so that he could keep his people safe. He would need to make sure that all of the traces of his connection to Michonne is gone from what Donald Okafor might have learned about it, and also with Jadis. And of course, last but not least, he's gonna have to make a decision as far as whether he wants to help the people of the Civic Republic or not. And I think that they did something extremely cool in this episode that would possibly give us another thing that might be on Rick's head. They mentioned something in that first episode with Rick saying he doesn't want power. But of course, as the time went and as he got disconnected from the concept of being able to go back home and finally giving up, he became a little power hungry. Now, we didn't fully see it, but of course, we know that he had one entire year to build up an entire military compound, basically build an entire unit for himself. And of course, we just saw clips showing montages of what he had to do to basically build this from scratch. And it was cool to see that they were showing it from the angle of him being in the conference room. But of course, it's not just the conference room. There's an entire military base being built in the background. And of course, as part of that comes a lot of different things that Rick probably had to do, things he probably had to get done, people he probably had to punish, and secrets he probably had to make sure doesn't get out in order to make this happen. I mean, this is not something that just happens without someone like Rick being in the position of where he is, not getting any sort of blood on his hand or doing any sort of immoral actions to get there. And I'm sure with that power that he now has, and the power he might even gain after Donald Okafor's death, he might see that the best option is not just go back to Alexandria, even if there's nothing tracing CRM back to them, but to stay, to gain more power, to stage a rebellion against the CRM and Major General Beale, and pretty much follow through with Donald Okafor's request in order to bring some level of freedom to the people of the Civic Republic. Now, like I said earlier, this is probably something that they're just building up in the first season. I doubt that we're gonna see Rick's revolution coming to a conclusion at the end. I definitely feel like there is gonna be a season 2 where we see Rick's revolution, but this first season is just building up towards that revolution and setting it up so that Rick is not just this nobody at the CRM. Even now, with what they did in the first episode, Rick is not a nobody in the CRM. But at the same time, he doesn't really bring anything extra to them. Not quite yet. Especially after Donald Okafor got killed. Rick lost a lot of his leverage within the system, the bureaucratic system of the CRM. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to go through in this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to join our community, and press the bell to be notified when I upload on the channel. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.